Awesome. Good morning. I think we'll give it just a few more seconds for folks to join in case they're on the way.
It's a Friday morning. Let's do that.
Thanks y'all for joining us.
There also is, just FYI, there's another big event going on in the Ontario area this morning.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, that one started at 7:30. So I was on that and then switched over here. So some folks may be on that as well.
Makes sense.
We still have some folks joining.
Yep.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
You can give it another minute just to.
It's great to see all of you.
Anne Marie, are we also watching in case folks are trying to register? I just had somebody email me as well wanting the link.
You can.
We should watch that space in case people are trying to get on.
If you know them, you can just send them the.
Yeah, I did. I just did. Just heads up.
Good morning.
Michael, I want you to be like like an app on my iPhone instead of the alarm. It just has you saying good morning.
That's too kind. Maybe we should do something like that. I'll pitch it
I don't
out.
know. You might be able to pick up some extra cash on those voiceover apps.
My current alarm isn't working.
There you go. Might see you on a future Disney movie or animated feature.
A great compliment. Thank you. Looks like we still have folks entering the room, so we'll give it a few more seconds.
Yep. Nice to see so many of you.
Michael, I think we can get started and then let people come in.
Okay, sounds good. Well, it's great to see you all here today. Thanks for joining us for this just becoming a more regular conversation. We have somewhat of an agenda for you today, but of course, conversation is going to guide us in the direction in which we should go. As a reminder, this is for the regional K-16 collaboratives, and we still don't have an RFP yet. We're still waiting, but we're organizing as much as we currently can without one. So I'm going to walk through just like a brief agenda for now for you all, just so you know kind of what we're hoping we can get into today. We're going to recap the event from last week and some of the insights that we gained from the Jamboards and the survey. Anne Marie is going to give us a little bit of an update of our institutional partnerships, as well as go into the pathway requirements of the grant. Most of the conversation today is going to be talking and sharing ideas specifically around the career pathways, which we know will be in the areas of education, business, healthcare, engineering / computing. We might put you into breakout groups depending on how things flow, and then we'll go into next steps and how we maybe can move forward in the most effective way. Do we have any questions about the agenda? Okay. Anne-Marie, do you want to, maybe I should start by introducing myself. I just realized I did. Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Wiafe. I'm with the Inland Empire Community Foundation. Anne-Marie?
Good morning, everyone. Anne-Marie Sacrifice. I'm with Growing Inland Achievement. It's nice to see many of you this morning.
Jackie?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jackie Melendez, and I am the Executive Director for IEGO. Yesterday was my 1 month anniversary on the job, so I'm super excited to be here. We're also going to just jump right into our program. Michael indicated that we'll be doing info session recap. So I'm not quite sure how many of you were on the call that we did. We did a kickoff / info session last Friday at the same time. And we had a really good turnout, a lot of really great feedback that Michael's going to get into in just a few minutes. Our intention is to use this space Friday at 9 a.m. To be able to discuss K-16 collaborative and how our region will respond to it. We do have some information, but like Michael said, we're still waiting on final guidelines. So this is really our space to kind of get our thoughts together so that we're ahead of the ball when it actually comes up. One of our goals really is to explore in this space comprehensive application for the Inland Empire. So one application for the Inland Empire. So we'll be talking a lot about what that looks like. There's definitely some challenges and some opportunities with that approach. So we're super excited about ironing out some of those things in this space. We don't have all the answers. Again, this is the opportunity for us to really explore and to co-design. If this is your first time with us today, this is the beginning. So you're coming in at a perfect time. We anticipate that this space will continue to grow on these Fridays as we move forward. We do have an anticipation of a March April release of additional guidelines, but please don't quote me on that because I don't have that written in stone, and so that may change, but that is what we're working backwards from that time. I do want to, if you weren't able to join us at the last kickoff, GIA has been very gracious and created an excellent web page. I don't know if you want to place that in the chat, Anne-Marie. All of the materials from that session are online. We'll place the link in the chat. And we also have there's the agenda there. There is also the video of the event as well. Michael did an amazing job of providing an overview of what we know now for K-16. So that would be a really great space to go in and take a look at what's going on. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Michael, and he's going to talk a little bit about the Jamboard sessions and the responses. We got a really great response and really great feedback that we're starting at. And if you have any questions, just a reminder, you can raise your hand, you can sort of just wave, or you can put it in the chat, and we'll do our best to make sure we get to everybody. So with that, thank you very much, and turn it back over to Michael.
Thank you. So I'm going to tell you all now that it's going to be a lot. And so hopefully you can follow along with me. If not, it's okay. We'll continue reiterating some of these points. But also it's important to keep in context that we know not every voice was in the room. And we know that not every perspective was shared. And so also keeping that in mind as we kind of share out what folks brainstormed last week, and continue to grow our perspective and grow the perspectives that are in the conversation. So although folks selected all 4 sector pathways, remember healthcare, engineering, education, and business, healthcare and engineering in the survey came just a little ahead of education and business, but it was very clear that all 4 should be pursued, is the numbers were pretty similar. Of the outcome priorities, folks think that increasing opportunities in emerging sectors and increasing higher education attainment broadly were more important than focusing on high wage outcomes for learners and upskilling employees in existing sectors. Again, these numbers were pretty close, and so we know that all four are important, but just trying to determine where the real priority is, and where we should shift our focus. It's also worth noting that it came up that we should focus on short and stackable credentials for immediate income increases leading to the bachelor's degree and beyond. We should be focusing on long-term career opportunities with clear upward mobility prospects, and an attempt to align with county economic development priorities. For the recovery with equity benchmarks and some of the things that institutions need to be doing, this is where there are 7, and for the purposes of the grant, we would have to choose 4. I'm going to list them in order of popularity according to the survey, but it's worth just saying that all of them were mentioned. Retaining students through inclusive support in cultivating inclusive, engaging and equity-oriented learning environments, where it came up clearly in the top. Improving college affordability and supporting college preparation and early credit. Those 4 really came ahead of the others, which are subsidizing internet access for eligible students and improving faculty, staff, and administrator diversity. Some of the general insight received included that students should be educated of pathways early in their educational journey, that apprenticeship programs should be identified and marketed to students, which might lead us to exploring internships. And this was what folks kind of put in their responses, that we might want to explore internships as a K through 12 graduation requirement, or at least something that's pushed more heavily for young people. And for those with a physical and cognitive disadvantage, we should include supported employment in our proposal and care for that community as well. We also need mentorship programs for students, all students, to create opportunities for building social capital outside of their campuses, whether it's K through 12 or college and beyond, to fight the who you know aspect that tends to impact equity outcomes. It was also mentioned that we should build infrastructure for employers to engage with students and educators to address gaps in knowledge in the employee in the workforce, as well as the structural issues affecting the employer's ability to recruit and retain an educated workforce. We received quite the list of folks who are doing this work in projects that should be scaled up. I'm going to mention a few, but know that there were much more on this list. Starting with our institutions, Chaffey College has a linkage between applied learning and general education. Loma Linda University, personal and near dear to my heart, has pipeline programs set for multiple stages of the process, both from K through 12 leading into undergraduate and then into the graduate school. University of Laverne's healthcare pipeline has a pipeline for high school students. UCR's extension has professional certificates that are linked to regional needs. The IE Desert Regional Consortium has K through 12 pathway coordinators for workforce program. Barstow and Victor Valley Community Colleges have entrepreneurship projects. And again, there are many others, many other institutions in our region doing this work. We have one IE doing entrepreneurship development, Uplift San Bernardino doing on the ground work, San Bernardino Alliance for Education, the Launch Apprenticeship Network, Coachella Valley, One Future, the list goes on and on. So we have quite a bit of work in our community to elevate. One of the final points that I want to make is, and that I mentioned earlier, is we know that we need to be inclusive of communities within our region. We need student voice at the table. We need to be cognizant of non-English speakers who might not be able to be part of this conversation. We need different perspectives to be considered, and of course, holding a space for our desert regions and rural districts who often face some additional challenges to access funds. That and more was gained from last week's Jamboard activity and survey. And hopefully, folks can digest that a little bit and start chewing into some of this information. And of course, today, let's get talking. Let's get engaging into conversation and dive into more what we need to see in our region. Are there any questions maybe about the survey and the Jamboard, what we've heard?
Michael, I'm wondering if, I know you had typed this into a Google Doc, but we've had a couple requests in the chat. If it's possible to share the document so that way folks we can take a couple minutes. We're running ahead of schedule. So they can take a couple minutes to just look over what the survey results were, and we can then actually have a conversation about it.
Absolutely. I'll put that in just now. I think that's a great suggestion.
And thank you to those who messaged me. I appreciate it.
So the doc is now in the chat. I guess I can do kind of a quick introduction to the document. So it combines major points from both the survey and the Jamboard activity. And so some of them will have numbers, and you'll see those in parentheses. That's the amount of survey responses that indicated that answer. And there were 39 respondents at the time at which this document was created. There might be more at this point, and I'll update the document and as we check the survey. Each category is ordered for the most part from most strongly preferred to least preferred, based again on both the survey responses and the frequency of the Jamboard posts. Of course, Jamboard posts are a little bit different to count than survey responses, but we're able to still account for that. Sub-bullets represent specifics outlined in the responses. And so just right at the top of the document, you see under engineering computing, folks specified cybersecurity, tech innovation, and aviation, specifically in the desert. So maybe we could just spend a few more minutes. I'm not gonna continue talking through this so that y'all have the chance to read through, and we can have.
Why don't I can put a little bit of music on, and let's take about 5 minutes to kind of read through what came out of last week's meeting. Does anyone?
Well, I want to let's say too, like there's folks that might be on cell phone that they can't see. So let's also take into account for that, and just know that folks we will post these materials on the website as well. And I think, did we post it in the chat? And then also if we could say the website as well, that way folks know.
It's in the chat.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, Felix, we hear you.
Yeah. Hi. I have a question. I'm a faculty at College of the Desert, specifically in cybersecurity. And I'm glad to stop at the top of the list. And we're not really. I mean, we're fairly new, but we're making way. We got all kinds of partnerships with school districts and working apprenticeships. But I'm a little surprised to see aviation and how specifically it was tagged for the desert. We don't have anything like that called the desert.
It's high desert. So Barstow, Victorville, out at the former George Air Force Base.
I see desert and I think it's us.
I understand. We need to.
There are other deserts.
Modification. Yes, there are other deserts.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. I appreciate you pointing it out. We need.
Yeah, no, it's just, I know there's a high school that has a fairly small aviation program, and it's great, but it's not, it's kind of at the top of the list. So, but all right, cybersecurity is good. Cybersecurity is good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anybody else that has any questions about what they're seeing? Anything else popping up for folks? Was anybody in the sessions and remember conversations that they wanted to bring up? Is that a hand, Felix? Nope.
I was there, but I couldn't spend the whole time. But yeah, I'm just looking through it. And I don't have anything to add right now.
Good.
Karen, you had your hand up. Good morning to you.
Good morning. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you just fine.
Okay, sweet. I just had a quick question. I saw on their alignment with economic development and WIOA programs. Do we have more research on what the benefits would be around that? I don't want to discount that at all, but I don't know enough to make an informed decision. And I was just curious if there's somewhere we could get more info of the benefits of making that alignment.
I think that's a fantastic question, Karen, that you bring up. We have not taken the time to digest everything that we received from the survey and the Jamboards. It took us a while to just get through all that you posted. And so our job over the next, week and or so, even longer, if there are others who want to then engage in the providing information, is to reach out to folks who are mentioned in this. So, we do have, I know, close relationships with our workforce partners, and that some might even be on the call at the moment, but the idea being that we want to look at the priority sectors, the promising jobs that were listed from IEGO reports, and ensure that if we are aligning, that it makes sense for what eventual jobs can be here in our space, right? So that it aligns to that existing, either existing priorities and or ensuring that people can actually get jobs with the education that they're going to receive through these projects.
And I think with with these Jamboards, the intention was to kind of push out a broad net and see what we caught. And so it was actually pretty interesting, and how specific folks were. People put like people's email addresses and contact this person specifically. And so I thought it was really, really detailed. And so a lot of this stuff, you know, we'll continue to work on it, but pretty cool that there was so much detail. Okay, any other comments or thoughts before we move on?
I see some of the educational institutions listed, and I'm here representing College of the Desert. We have all kinds of programs, and we work closely with the K-12 strong workforce and all that good stuff. And we've developed programs in nursing, cybersecurity, and all that good stuff. We got dual enrollment courses up the wazoo, and we're working on apprenticeships right now. So I don't know. I guess I would be the contact person, but it's you know, we should be part of that list too.
Perfect. Michael's adding it in real time right now.
Thank you, Michael.
And we're going to put that on marketing materials. You know, we got programs up the wazoo.
It's
like
it's not a technical term, but
yeah, it's an industry term.
I love it.
Nice.
yeah, don't put that wazoo part. Okay.
Yeah, so Michael just added a comment from James that was in the chat. He added that to the doc, and then also added your comment as well, Felix.
Any other thoughts before we continue?
I had one. I'm just wondering if there's a place in this for private education colleges. Oak Valley, we're a very small college, but you know, reaching very underserved kids. So just wondering if there's a place in this grant for kind of the faith-based sector or private, you know, education facilities.
Hi, Stacy. It's good to hear from you. And
Yeah.
yes, I think there absolutely is a space for the private colleges within the Inland Empire. We don't know what that looks like yet. Let's be honest, because we haven't figured out which pathways we're going to focus in on. And it'll, depending on the timeline of this project, it may have to be more focused initially on those existing pathways. And so we want to make sure that we're plugging people in where it makes sense. And so if you want to engage, obviously you're here, you're on that list, and we'll make sure that you're continued to get that information. And that goes for any of the colleges, private, the private nonprofit colleges and or public colleges, right? So that it's as inclusive as we possibly can be, given how many pathways and whatever we hear from the RFP of what the constraints might be for this particular project.
And we'll capture that in our notes in terms of questions, like Karen before had that question about the intersection of workforce and economic development. We'll also add the question about the intersection of private and all that good stuff. So we'll keep that on there. We have some interesting stuff coming in on the chat. Mara is writing youth action project, San Bernardino County provide youth 16 to 24 professional training and career coaching. She's putting some information, so Michael will capture that. And then Hinda is here representing Cal Poly Pomona College of Education and Integrative Studies. Thank you for being here. And so folks are putting some more stuff in there. I see Ida here is putting a link over to the EDD's labor market info. That's really critical data, really good stuff there. So we'll put that in there. Thank you, Mara. and more info from James on University of Redlands School of Business and Society. He's putting that link, and I see Michael putting that in as well. And then there was a previous link for College of Arts and Sciences. So I think we have a packed agenda. So if everybody's okay, do we want to move on to the next part?
If I could just add really quickly, this is Deanna. I'm a trustee with Chaffey College. Thank you for including Chaffey on the list. And just a little bit of insight and some background or some behind the scenes programs coming up. We have a Center for Entrepreneurship that we'll be launching this year. So we haven't officially announced it. We're still working on the details, but that's one of the programs that we can add to the long list of Chaffey programs in applied technology and general education that we could add. And in addition to that, of course, we have our dual enrollment and career pathways that, like Felix mentioned, that we do as well. And one in particular that we're focusing on that we've been working on for a few months now is with Upland Unified. They really want to incorporate dual enrollment in the high school starting freshman year for all students in the near future. So the goal ultimately would down the line in a few years is for students to graduate with a diploma and with an associate's degree. So that's the superintendent's plan here coming up. So we're working together with the district to figure out how we can make that happen. So just wanted to add that to the list. So thank you, Michael, for including Chaffey.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Deanna, so much for being here and providing those insights. We will add here in a little bit, we're going to break out into breakout rooms based on the pathways and have a chance to share more specifics, because we know those specifics are really important as we move forward with these projects. Graciela, you had your hand up, but then just put it down. So are you going to wait for the breakout room time?
Yeah, I figured that there's going to be specifics. So, but I heard the word entrepreneurship and I jumped at that. But hi, everyone. My name is Graciela Moran. I serve as External Affairs Officer for Caravanserai Project. I'm also a Cal State San Bernardino alumni. So I see a lot of familiar faces in Cal State. So I'm here to, support Michael here. I serve as I said, I serve as External Affairs Officer for Caravanserai Project, and we do a lot of mission-driven work, specifically for mission-driven entrepreneurs. We do have one of the only mission-driven social impact pre-accelerator programs, where we do have a lot of fellows within the Inland Empire, where we do help them out with entrepreneurship. We'd love to be a part of that list and help out. We are right now working on a credential program. This is all through UCR Extension as well. We're also working on a credential program with IACC, with the nonprofit credential as well. That's something that we're working on. So we'd love to be a part of that list and help out as much as we can. But I'd love to talk more specifics. And thank you, Stacy, for mentioning, the private sector and nonprofit. So I'm super excited to chat.
Thanks.
So happy to see you here. Good morning. Just so everybody knows, I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, our time in student government slightly overlapped. So it's kind of great to re-see each other in a different light.
Yeah, for sure. If y'all don't know, I feel like I have to mention this because we are in the Inland Empire, but Michael is a powerhouse in the CSU and just in general higher education. If y'all didn't see his CNN interview, y'all should go check that out. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that, and I'm super excited to cross paths again.
You are far too kind. It's great to see you guys. Scariest 6 minutes of my life. But I added the Bronze Try Project to the list as well.
Very cool.
That's
Okay,
great.
in the interest of time, do we want to move to the next piece? Because we do have additional items on the agenda.
We do.
Michael?
We do.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Does the next part of the agenda, I just wanted to give a quick update on what we've learned over the last week of where we're kind of at with this regional proposal. We did receive commitments. So this collaborative received commitments from both Cal State San Bernardino, their president Morales, and from UC Riverside, their Chancellor Wilcox, to participate as the CSU and the UC on this proposal. And so it's really important that those commitments have already been secured for this work. And I know many of you come from those institutions, and so you may have heard or may not have heard, right? Because this was, hot off the presses and wanted to share today. And so as the folks who actually do work on the ground who are in this call, wanting to ensure that you all are supported to continue participating in this effort as part of this consortium. So we'll have more information, right, as we continue to move forward on what community colleges have committed. That's the next big space, is to ensure that those in the region that want to participate are provided information so that they can, as well as looking to our 2 county superintendents to work with our school districts. As you may or may not know, the school districts in our region do meet on a quarterly basis, and their superintendent's meeting is actually happening right now. And so there's a presentation happening to all of them to hear more about this collaborative and where they might like to participate. And so that's behind the scenes efforts to ensure that folks who are not on this call right now hear about it and can participate where it makes sense. In addition, both UC Riverside and Cal State San Bernardino have committed their deans of education, their colleges of education, to co-chair the education working group that will form as part of this group. So as we noted, education is one of the pathways, and given that in order for individuals to move forward with an educational credential, most of them in our region go through either UC Riverside or Cal State San Bernardino. That partnership makes sense. And so they're already going to start working on working groups. And when we get into breakout rooms, we'll have a chance to talk through if you already have a education pathway that you're interested in working through on this, that will make sure you're included on the invite for the next working group meeting. I see Gustavo from Norco has his hands up. Thank you for turning your camera on. Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry, I'm multitasking for the next meeting that's happening at 10. So my
I
apologies.
understand. No, you're okay. We all have to do that, don't we?
Full day of meetings today. Just a quick question about the process to approach Dr. Isak for Riverside Community College District. I mean, we're already working with Cal State San Bernardino, UCR. So are you pursuing that formally, or do I need to do something to get that moving, or what's the plan with that?
That is a great question. Given that Chancellor Isak actually does serve on the Growing Inland Achievement Board of Directors, he's aware of this proposal, and they have said generally, yes, we're in, we want to participate, but what we haven't had is a one-on-one conversation to ensure that yes, we're good, and dedicating a particular staff member or two to the project. So Gustavo, I think that is a great question. And for those who we do have on our list from various colleges that we have not officially heard, there will be follow-up calls either with me or with Michael or someone else who's helping to guide the consortium while we're still working through what that looks like. So we appreciate your participation, and as we continue to move forward with all of this conversation, working on engagement and seeing which part or which colleges or what projects, those kinds of things is what we're going to try to nail down through working group conversations. And then Dina, you also had your hand up. Good morning, Dina.
Good morning. Good morning. I just want to ask for that quarterly districts meeting, do you all participate in it, meaning GIA when they meet? And then if they're meeting, are you guys going to get a list of who actually was there? I want to make sure Rialto gets their information and participates, because we have our education pipeline.
Right.
But I need to know who's, so that we know who actually participates and is going to get that.
I hear you. Yeah, this is a districts meeting that the 2 county superintendents put together for the region on behalf of the region. And it happens quarterly. And so I don't know who all is participating, but you and I can definitely follow up offline to see if Rialto was there. And if not, we'll make sure that we'll get Rialto their information, which I know why you're asking. So
thank you.
I'm glad you did. Thank you. So while we're looking at the various pathways, looking at the clock here, I want to make sure we have some time in breakout sessions. As you may have heard Michael mention already in our call, there are 4 pathways, and they are mandatory pathways. They are in the budget language for this proposal. And so that is business, education, engineering, computing, and healthcare. So those 4 pathways must be addressed through this project. We actually, according to the budget language, only have to pick 2 technically as part of our consortium. However, as you noted on the document that Michael shared earlier, all 4 seem to bubble to the surface as potential areas for our region, especially given the size, as well as the job prospects. You know, we know that we have different sub-regional areas like the high desert, like the Coachella Valley, like the Temecula-Murrieta area that have different job prospects than, say, central of San Bernardino, right? So we want to be conscientious of that and talk a little bit through those different areas and what we think might make sense as a consortium to move this forward. So I have a couple questions that we would like to discuss in a breakout session. I'm going to put those 2 questions in the chat. And then I'm going to open the chat rooms, and the chat rooms, you get to pick which one makes sense for you today. And it doesn't mean that you're saying, oh, I only want to focus in on business and technology, but it's what we have time to discuss today because I have something that I would like to share. And so fortunately, we have Michael Wangler and Ida Hermosillo, also from Growing Inland Achievement, who've offered to help facilitate a conversation and take some notes. And then Jackie will also be in the other group. And so I'm going to open the breakout rooms. And if you do have questions or need some assistance, Michael Wayafe is going to stay in the main room. And if you haven't used the choose your own adventure space in Zoom before, you should see a breakout room tab at the bottom of your screen next to where you have the mute and video, and you get to choose which room you go to.
So I'll do the business one, Anne Marie.
Anne-Marie, I'm not sure how to choose the breakout room. So I opened up the breakout room and I'd like to join education, but how do I get in there?
I'm in the same situation.
There should be a join button. Maybe I can, back on my end, I can add you to those groups if that's where.
Okay, yeah, I don't see a join button.
Yeah, neither do I.
Okay.
So if I could go to education as well.
Yes, I'm going to assign both of you.
Thank you.
That should work.
I haven't gotten an invitation yet, Michael. I'm not sure.
Oh.
Can I do business by any? Is that
Yeah.
okay? Perfect.
I can assign you to business. Great to see you.
Yeah, great to see you too.
Enjoy. Hi. Oh, I see what you put in the chat, Lorena. There we go. You should be added to business. Karen. You're muted. I can't hear you. No. Okay.
Sorry, I was trying to multitask. Someone just like dropped off I ordered like a food prep for this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. It's like all vegetarian, but they like freaked me out because I was like, who is like walking up to my house because I'm home alone?
Oh.
Let me go get those boxes. I didn't see the pop-up for which breakout rooms.
Yeah, it seems like not everybody received it. Which one would you like to go in? And that sounds delicious, by the way. I already know the meal prepping makes life a little easier. And
yeah. What are my choices?
Healthcare, engineering or computing, business, and education.
Ooh, that's a hard one. Because I know we're working with our business pathways, but we're also working with our with our cyber pathway. To
Would it help? Okay.
Put me in the business.
Business? Okay.
Yeah.
Oops, not me. Okay. I almost threw myself in business.
I'll be right back.
There you go. Hi, Damien. Are you able to choose your breakout room, or would you like me to point you in one?
I am. I was having some technical difficulties, so I got shut off, but I think I have it fixed now. So I'm joining healthcare. Thanks.
Awesome. I think if one thing is clear, it's that was not enough time for breakout rooms.
No. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to continue that breakout session conversation. I think we were very ambitious with our agenda today. So we got the conversation rolling, at least in the business space. But Michael, we can go around and do some we'll do the feedback recap. But I know at least for business, we did intros and then we just, started talking about it. So I'm overseeing this part of the recap. So I definitely wanted to just ask the group, do we need to bring that breakout session back to the next meeting and continue those conversations for sure? Okay, so that's our promise for next Friday. We'll definitely bring those back. And so instead of going around, what I could do is I can just, if anybody wants to give a feedback from their group, we'll open it up right now.
I think the one thing that the education group wanted to share out, Carol Shima from San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools posted in the chat the link for the IE career education map. And so if you're not familiar with that map, it actually does list all the career pathways in the Inland Empire. And it's going to be very useful for us as we move forward with this project and connecting it with the college needs, the workforce needs, and all of those good things. But Carol also noted that these conversations are super important because, of course, with any map, there are things that are going to be missing. And so we're going to make sure to get the notes from these conversations to the folks at the Centers for Excellence that actually put the map together, but wanted to point it out because it's in the chat. If you haven't seen it, take a look because you may see something new that you didn't realize was in existence, and it might be in your own backyard.
Yeah, thanks for that link, Karen. That's really awesome. Looks good. Okay, so is there anybody else that wants to give some feedback from their breakout?
On the healthcare side, I think one of the challenges with healthcare is the licensure. And when we think about the biggest gaps at the associate degree and bachelor's degree, it's in RN, and we just have so many challenges. I know the colleges have trouble growing it because of the constraint of clinicals. The California Board of Registered Nursing is very tight on that. We're limited to the amount of simulation time that we can use in lieu of face-to-face clinical time. So there's a lot of challenges there that right now, I think pretty much most nursing colleges would love to grow their programs, but really can't.
Yeah, awesome. Great point. Any other feedback from, we can go ahead.
Gustavo had his hand up.
Okay, Gustavo, hi.
Yeah, I brought up the fact that at Norco College, we're ending a 5-year Title III STEM grant. And one of the main achievements of that grant was to set up transfer agreements with UC Riverside in engineering. And so we have a formal agreement in multiple areas in the sciences with UCR and Riverside Community College District. And I think one of the interests is for us to maybe take up or kind of pick up where we left off with those transfer agreements and expand those to Cal State San Bernardino, Cal Poly Pomona. And so there's a lot of synergy already happening there. And I think if we could expand that in the entire Inland Empire, that would be pretty amazing. So that's just one area that we were discussing as a possibility and something that we can include as part of this initiative.
And something else we talked, and we're at the College of Desert, we're kind of on the opposite side. We have a strong partnership with Cal State San Bernardino, but we don't really have anything with UCR, and we should. So that's something that I'm looking forward to establishing those kind of ties. And I'm not even aware of the CIS type of programs that they may have, even though I'm alma mater, but it's sometimes you gotta reach out.
Some of that's politics. We were real close to signing a transfer agreement with College of the Desert, and I think Cal State stepped in and said, please don't do that. So we got kind of bumped out. So that's part of just the bigger picture of they've got a lot invested there. And
There's
My
always
whole
that.
goal with Cal State is once they're full, then there's room for me. That's the only way. That's the only way it works for us. Is once Cal State says, "Oh, we can't take any more," then they're more open to that. But with everybody's enrollment, well, Cal States have been up, but I know community colleges have been down too. But I think that's something we should talk about: is how does that work, and why should one school have a monopoly? It's worth talking about. It's above my pay grade to settle, but that's why we're sort of we get to stuff like that. It's like, oh my God, and my dean, he got all the way down, and we've got agreements, but the way we solved it was we just have a blanket discount now. Anybody who transfers from any community college gets the same treatment. So that's how we kind of got around that if they come to Redlands. But those are bigger conversations that I think regional, getting our college presidents together or chancellors and saying, can we just knock this off? Because this isn't helpful. Let's do what's best for our students, not what's best for you as an institution. I think grant money may be the way to tangle that out in front of them. So
yeah, for sure. And then was there any feedback? Thank you for that from the engineering pathway computing.
That was us.
Yeah, that was Gustavo and Felix. So it was just the three of us, so they covered it.
Awesome. Great. Okay. So, and then what about business? I know Emma had some, good feedback about financial education and internships. Did you want to say something about that from our group?
Yes, both good things.
Certainly.
That was our first shot.
Yeah.
I unmuted myself this time. Yes, certainly. The input that I had was that in business management, that we needed to make sure to include a very strong financial education component. And primarily because my research and my working in finance has demonstrated that we just graduated a whole generation of students that have no idea about the financial world and what they're going to do. And also, I would like to encourage, as a former director of instruction and curriculum for a charter school, I'd like to encourage that we seriously look at doing internships in K-12, especially in high school, but going as low as junior high school. Okay, I think those things are very, very key in incorporating those two disciplines in high school, junior high school and high school.
Perfect. I see a lot of heads nodding. Thank you, Emma. And then we heard one comment in the beginning from education, one last quick tidbit from that group. And again, we are enticing you to come back next Friday so we can continue these robust conversations and invite your colleagues as well. Anybody else from education before we wrap this piece up? I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I don't know if I see any, Anne-Marie's good at watching hands up. Okay, so I am, thank you all very much. I have a hard stop at 10. But again, we're super excited to start these conversations. Please know that all of this is really just the tip of the iceberg. Nothing's set into stone. We are co-designing and discovering as we go. There's things in there that that are okay, this looks like this is how this is going to go, and we're responding to that. But thank you all for your conversations and your feedback, and we'll definitely continue these conversations. And then the last thing I wanted to say is, as a region, some of the things that James and Felix were talking about, some of those more structural things, these are the types of things that as a region we should be talking about all the time. It's these opportunities when funding is involved that we start having these conversations, and that's great. But there's also stuff that we just need to be aware of, and all the amazing programs that are happening all over. It's really great. I keep telling people we look for best practices outside, but there's actually really amazing things happening internally. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Michael so he can close it up. And
I want to ditto everything you just said, Jackie. I think there's a lot of work in the region, and we're really excited to kind of move forward. Next week, same time, same place. Thank you all for coming here, and don't keep this
One
to
quick thing,
yourself.
Anne-Marie, also as well, just a reminder, GIA put some amazing stuff on the website, so please go there. It's already becoming an awesome resource for this work. So thank you to GIA for that.
Absolutely. And that's where you can actually point people to register for the next meeting and find more information, or if they're behind, we have the recording from last week there so that they can catch up. And so we're hoping to see you next week, and don't keep it to yourself. Share it to your colleagues and other folks who should be in the conversation. Anne-Marie, do you have any last thoughts?
Just share the meeting invite and we'll join you again next week. And if you have anything that you didn't get a chance to mention, but really want to get on our radar, please shoot any of us an email. I think most of you have mine given the registration for the meeting. So look forward to talking with you all again very soon. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Bye.